This is a story I heard yesterday. Very, how you say, shocking story. One of them. There was a general in the Israeli army, and in Yom Kippur, he had a whole battalion of 150 soldiers, and they were ambushed so that what is it, 37 of them or 70, whatever. I think a large number of them were killed. And he, of course, took this very, very deeply to heart. He had to go and visit and he went and he visited all the families that were affected by this. 32 soldiers, that's what it was. 32 soldiers were killed. So he went to the families and he visited one another. And I don't know if you've ever visited. I have visited families like that. And the people are just totally destroyed because the soldiers that were killed, first of all, they were usually very young men, and they only had, if they were before getting married or if they had been married, they had small children. They had small children, and they left their wife behind. They were in the prime of their life, and suddenly they were just taken away. It wasn't that they were sick, gradually or whatever. In any case, it's a thing that's impossible to really accept. And so, but he had to go from family to family and to those and to tell. So he couldn't get over it. He just became terribly depressed about the whole thing, and he was very broken, this general. And someone suggested that he should go to visit Lubavitcher Rebbe. Someone suggested. And there was a person in Kfar Chabad called Rabbi Shlomo Modanchik. I knew him very well. And he called up this general. I'm not sure if it was because the Rebbe called him up or because he said to this general that I understand that you're going to be visiting America soon. When you're there, go and visit the Lubavitcher Rebbe. So to this day, I have absolutely no idea how this Chabad rabbi knew that I was going to visit America. He had some sort of a business. He had a business deal or something to do in America, or it was something to do with the Israeli government, whatever. Anyway, so it must have been that the Lubavitcher Rebbe somehow or other knew that this man. Well, you'll see at the end of the story. Somehow or other knew that this general was going to be visiting America, and he called up Shlomo Modanchik, who at that time was he was the mayor of Kfar Chabad, to call him up and tell him. So he said, all right, I'm not a religious person, I don't know. But on the other hand, he was so depressed and so miserable that he figured, okay, maybe it'll help. So he agreed. So when he was in America, he finished his business and he went into the Rebbe. So he started speaking to the Rebbe. He figured, the Rebbe, a religious person, the man had, a typical Israeli, had absolutely nothing to do with religion or Judaism or just a practical person. Anyway, so he went and spoke to the Rebbe, and he was very amazed. He said he figured he would be there for like 5 minutes, and he said that the Rebbe knew things about the Israeli government that were like top secret. And he said he was talking about things that I, as far as I know, I only knew. I never told anybody. He was very amazed. And he said that they talked about the people that had died, his problem. And he said that the Rebbe really comforted me. He really gave me comfort. Exactly what he said, he didn't explain. But he said he truly comforted me. And, I know one of the things that the Rebbe said to other people is that, you can't explain this pain. There's no way you can explain all these tragedies. He said, but the Jewish people have survived. The first temple was destroyed. The second temple was destroyed. Then was destroyed. What's the second? Okay, aniavo. And we've had terrible tragedies, terrible, Holocaust and everything. And there's absolutely no explanation. There's no way to be comforted for these things. To be comforted for these things, but somehow or other, the Jewish people have found it in their souls to go on, to be positive despite everything. So, and the Rebbe said, and and he said, thank you, you've comforted me for the 32 soldiers that had died. And the Rebbe said, it's 34. So he said to the Rebbe, I'm intimately involved in the whole thing, and it's 32. And the Rebbe said, no, it's 34. 34 soldiers died. So he figured to leave it at that. The Rebbe was right about everything, so he made one mistake. It's not such. So he said he came back home, and he told his wife, how the Rebbe had comforted him. And he got the news that while he was there in America, 2 of the other soldiers that had been wounded succumbed to their wounds, succumbed to their this, and they passed away. So it was 34, like the Rebbe said. So the next time he went to America for another business deal, this time he didn't have to have Rabbi Medanchik didn't have to call him up. He called up Rabbi Medanchik and said, arrange for me a meeting, and he did. And he went into the Rebbe and he told him, he thanked the Rebbe very much for comforting him and for giving him a good direction. And he said that the Rebbe was right, and he apologized. I'm sorry that I. But he said to the Rebbe, how do you know? How did you know that there was 2 more that passed away? And he said that every Jewish soul that's born, that comes into the world, and every Jewish soul that leaves the world comes through this room, the Rebbe's room in 770. He said every Jewish soul that comes into the world and every Jewish soul that leaves the world comes through this room. And that's how I know. Now, is there an explanation for that? Is that logical? Is that possible? How could it be? I mean, there's 15 million Jews in the world. Each one came through the room with a. But if the Rebbe said it, it was true. So that's what it means. The Rebbe is a person that feels and is aware intimately of every Jew and every Jew's life. That's what a Rebbe is. Rebbe is Rosh B'nai Yisrael. He is the head of this body, which is called the Jewish people. Have a good day with Mashiach now. See you all tomorrow.